The title of the video may make it sound like I dislike or even hate Sonic, but the opposite is actually true. If you know me, then you probably know I'm a pretty big fan of the Red Plumber and have been for a long time, but before my time on the Mario train, I was riding that Sonic subway all day. I had the Game Boy Advance port of the original Sonic the Hedgehog game, and I could not for the life of me beat Marble Zone 1 despite me trying it probably like a million times. But I was a stubborn child and tried to go through that level guns blazing like I had the previous levels because that's what the game had taught me. Speed is the name of the game and there was no room for change. Or at least that's what I thought. However, despite all my efforts, I never got to see that level complete screen until a few years later. Maybe I was just a stupid kid who couldn't comprehend the concept of actually slowing down for a change, or maybe the design of the game itself was flawed. Fixing the Sonic formula. This might seem like an odd statement because it implies that Sonic needs fixing in the first place, and the validity of that statement kind of depends on who you ask about it. The concept of going fast originally came from Sonic's creator running level 1-1 of the original Super Mario Bros, attempting to finish the level as fast as possible. The entire point of Sonic was to rival Mario's dominance over the video game industry, so comparisons to Mario will always be inevitable even if Nintendo doesn't compete with Sega anymore. Maybe more like Sega doesn't compete with Nintendo anymore because they're not really a competitor anymore. But still, the design of these original Sonic games were made with the intention of going fast and staying fast, and there was some personality and charm that easily separated it from Mario back in the day. Hell, the inspirations for Sonic's character design and personality were based off of Santa Claus, Michael Jackson, and President Bill Clinton. I simply cannot imagine a universe where a character inspired by all those things was not successful. The only downside to the gimmick of speed is that it pinned Sonic's team down to that speed, and Sega couldn't really afford to change the formula since going fast is what Sonic is known for. Creative burnout with the formula was inevitable. I can only imagine how they can innovate going fast for so long before they crash and burn. And as I'm sure you all know, that's exactly what happened. Series like this should be allowed some breathing room to naturally evolve with the times in order to progress as a series. Mario is a perfect example of this being done really well. Mario's been to the beach, been to space, been to Dark Souls, been to space again, been to the beach again. The list goes on and on. Sonic has had his fair share of variety in settings and gameplay styles too, but it was very obvious to most people that all their attempts at divvying up gameplay styles was just not as fun or not as well received as simply going fast. Look, I'm aware that every YouTube video essay talking about the rise and fall of Sonic talks about how Sonic stumbled in 3D and then regained his footing later on, and this is the exact reason why. See, Sonic's formula in the 2D games was very simple. Getting hit in Mario and most other platformers usually means certain death, and Sonic coins spill out everywhere and it gives you a chance to pick up the coins you lost after getting hit, and this allows the player to get back on their feet quickly and continue the fast pace. The levels are also designed beautifully with this concept in mind, with lots of intersecting trails that use trampolines and ramps and other various items placed throughout the level, and it makes the levels feel like one big set piece that was made with the intention of moving you forward. 2D platformers as a whole work with this concept very well because you're only getting from point A to point B with nothing to distract you. But when you stretch Sonic out to 3D, now all of a sudden you have these different axes to worry about and the entire concept of Sonic falls apart. This is why after so many attempts of trying to make this work, they finally gave up because they realized that attempting to make a 3D game with the idea of going fast the entire time, that it unfortunately lacked depth. Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, and every other Sonic game with the boost formula took this in mind, and in a way are all essentially 2D Sonic games, but with the camera moving around in various angles to make it more visually stimulating, and were a lot more linear in comparison to the older 3D Sonic games, and it actually mirrors the 2D structure a lot more. The boost formula works really well under these conditions, and it allowed them to worry more about making a good game instead of worrying about how to keep Sonic fast. Now, if you engage in any discussions about the Sonic games, then tell me if you've heard this exact opinion or criticism before. The boost formula is basically a big cutscene and it doesn't require any input from the player, blah blah blah. While I don't necessarily think these criticisms are entirely accurate, there is something to be said about how the boost formula focuses on pushing you forward and therefore doesn't really require the player's attention or effort as much as earlier games did. In my opinion, the 2D game struck a much better balance of going fast while still requiring some precision to keep your momentum going. And this is why for the longest time it's always been of my opinion that Sonic simply works better in 2D. Now, whether you disagree with me or not, I think most Sonic fans would agree, generally speaking, that the 2D games overall have a much better track record than the 3D games, and everything I've said is exactly why. I don't know about you guys, but when I imagine Sonic in 3D, I imagine Sonic racing across different landscapes, bouncing across different environments with a heavy emphasis on momentum and movement. When Sonic Frontiers got revealed, this is exactly what I was hoping they would deliver, but after seeing these gameplay trailers, I'm feeling very mixed on what's been shown. Honestly, I'm a little surprised that open world Sonic hasn't been done until this game. I feel like the idea of Sonic being able to run around an open world and fighting enemies would be nothing short of a slam dunk on paper. But when you sit down and think about it for a second, there's actually so many ways to mess it up. Designing this game couldn't have been an easy task. I think the most important thing they have to nail in terms of the gameplay has to be the movement and making navigating open areas fun and exciting. The problem with these gameplay trailers though is that the game is obviously nowhere near close to being done. If anything, the gameplay resembles much more of a tech demo than a proper game so far. The rails and platforms are not naturally integrated into the environment at all, so they just end up looking super out of place. I mean, they're kind of just floating there. It also doesn't help that some of the animations still look really choppy. One of Sonic's biggest appeals is that you go fast and you look cool while doing it, so I'm really hoping that these half-baked animations spend some more time in the oven. I don't know what they thought the reception to this first trailer was going to be. It's like they went out of their way to show us the world in the most empty and boring state imaginable. Graphically, I don't have any issues with it overall though. Again, the animations could use some more work, but once the game gets a little more polish on its nails, I think this game could look pretty good on some newer gen consoles, to be honest. The first trailer is also not helped by the gameplay itself being rather boring. I honestly can't tell if the person playing the game just sucks ass at it, or if the game is actually just going to be this empty and boring. Sonic has always had slower moments of platforming to make the game's faster segments feel more rewarding, and it gives the player a nice contrast throughout their playthrough. In an open world game though, the norm usually takes a different approach in giving you enemies to fight, puzzles to do, etc. For the combat trailer, I feel pretty similarly to the first one. It's difficult to tell if the person playing just sucks at the game or if the combat really is just this slow and monotonous. I do appreciate small things they've added though, like running across the walls, and the new moves in combat does generally look like stuff Sonic would do, but the choppy animations still leave a sour taste in my mouth. Like, for example, there's this circle thing that Sonic does where he runs around the enemy and then they get hit by wind or something, I'm not sure, but whoever's playing constantly just stops in their tracks, slowly walks around them, and then they die. Come on guys, like, you couldn't have gone out of your way to make this action or this mechanic look a little more exciting. If this action is something you can do in the middle of the sprint, then this mechanic is actually pretty cool, so I'm just hoping the person playing just needs to get better at the game. Still, despite all of that, just running around these environments and having a sandbox to test your speed with still sounds really fun, and I want to try it still. I still think this game has a lot of potential, and I hope we see some major progress next time more footage gets released. It's supposed to come out holiday season, so there's still a few months left of development time. I'm not sure if that's enough time to iron out the kinks, but if done right, this could easily be one of the best Sonic games ever made. Still won't compete with Sonic Riders though, those games are in the masterpiece zone.